Let's talk the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Let's talk Notre Dame. Let's talk Georgia. This one's 7:45 on ESPN as well. The closest spread of
do this one.
Okay. Closest spread of all the games here. Georgia, 1.5 point. Basically a pick 'em. This Notre Dame defense looked absolutely elite against a really good Indiana offense. Georgia's got a lot of question marks, and I'm sure Jake will tell you about them. Break it down for us.
Is it because I
wanted to hear your Notre Dame stuff. I was curious.
While it's been a little bit homerism, you can't say that I haven't been wrong on this team yet this year, right? Like, I mean, we kind of
you probably picked them against NIU, so you've been wrong.
No, I took NIU spread as my dog's dog, Parks. I did. I got that one sealed in my memory, Parks.
You thought they were going to win?
Not win, but I did think they were going to come to the 28.
You're wrong.
With Notre Dame, there's actually is concern. Like, this team just cannot escape the injury bug. It hasn't been brought up enough. The injury to Riley Mills is just detrimental for this defensive line, because I think it's going to be a battle of defensive lines again, just kind of like the Oregon-Ohio State matchup. The interior of the defensive line for Notre Dame, it is really, really good. But now you lose one of the best in Riley Mills. I got to look it up. Maybe I will when you guys are talking. Like, are we going to see Howard Cross finally come back? He's been out for a month. He was suited up in the Indiana game. Now that Mills goes down, where they just maybe they were going to play it by year and see how the Indiana game goes, and they were going to throw him in the second half. I hope he's at 100%. I hope he's ready to go for this Georgia game, because they're going to need him now. On the other side, like with the offense, Riley Leonard, I mentioned it the last time we talked about this team. He's one of the best escape artists as far as quarterback play in college football. But this challenge against this Georgia defense, man, it's going to be different. And can he just stay upright for 4 quarters, taking hits, because he's going to have designed runs too. It's just going to be the most physical game he's probably ever had in his college career. I'm calling out Jordan Faison, Bo Collins, Chris Mitchell. Like, these are wide receivers for Notre Dame. One of you guys has to have a big day. Maybe it's Mitchell Evans, the tight end too. We'll have to wait and see. And then I think the team who runs the ball the best is going to win. I know I just said we need to have good wide receiver play from Notre Dame, but it's still going to come down to who runs the ball best and who runs the ball most effectively in order to win this Sugar Bowl.
It's a place to we can talk about the one glaring thing I thought we'd talk about, and that's no Carson Beck, who recently declared for the NFL draft, but Gunnar Stockton coming in. Whether or not it's a good quarterback, of course he's a good quarterback. He's playing football at Georgia. He was a high-star recruit. But, like I just said, the experience matters. And in a game like this, against a defense like this, who, whether or not they've had bigger injuries on the line, they've had injuries all season. Like Jake said, still haven't wavered from being an elite defense. Like, they're so well coached schematically. Like, they simplify things, and they're always in the right spot, forcing turnovers. And that's what really kickstarted that Indiana ass whooping that they just put on them. And I think they can do the same because of that inexperience at quarterback for Georgia. And if you want to talk about running back battles and whoever runs the football is going to be the winner of this game, I'm giving the edge to Notre Dame too. I love the Irish in this spot because of how good that defense has been all season long, despite the injuries. And because of the question marks on Georgia, like we've talked about all season, is there a standout guy like Georgia's had, like a Brock Bowers, that they won those national championships with? I don't think this is the year for the Dogs. Is it a great spot for them to shut me the hell up and for Notre Dame to fold again in a huge spot? Absolutely. So I could see it going either way, but I really do see it in a Notre Dame favor. I want to talk about the guys you mentioned, Jake. Faison for Notre Dame, that's an elite little receiver there, a little pesky guy who just finds himself open. And how good has Riley Leonard been down the stretch? I think he's going to be really good on the ground. We've seen Georgia struggle with teams that have quarterbacks that can run throughout the entire season. Look at the Georgia Tech game and what Haynes King did. Look at Alabama and what Milroe did in that game. So I really look for Riley Leonard to get it done on the ground in this game, make an impact with his legs, and be the difference maker. So I like Notre Dame in this one. What do you think, JP?
Cross does look like he's going to play, just from what I'm reading.
Apparently, he played a little bit against Indiana, and I missed that. I didn't
see him come in.
I'm sure it was right before they were up 30-7.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, like for this one, like it kind of, you have to stop yourself. And I've caught myself a couple of times looking at it and being like, okay, we've seen this logo in this spot before, and we've seen this logo in this spot before. Now they're meeting up, right? And I think the big difference within this is that Georgia isn't the same up front, right? I think their offensive line is fine. The defensive line's fine. It lacks playmakers and game changers. I think they also don't have that insane piece in the middle of the linebacking core that can wreck things. I think in the years past, they've had just dudes in the middle of this defense. And that's all well and good that they're not as good as they usually have. But I think when you look at Notre Dame, right, it's the confidence they have in this offensive line. Like this is the most confident I think I've seen them in their offensive line and their defensive secondary in a multitude of years. Like even when they've played on bigger stages, I don't think they've been this confident in it. And I don't necessarily think that, bringing in Riley Leonard this year versus a Hartman last year makes this team that much different. I think it gives them more options on how they can do things. But I think if you're going to ask Riley Leonard to go help you win this football game, it starts and stops kind of in what you ask him to do. You cannot ask him to sit in the pocket and be a pocket passer and make all these plays. You have to let him be him, improvise. The run game's got to be solid and consistent. And you just kind of have to go that direction. I think not that both teams are protecting their quarterback in this situation and from making mistakes, but it kind of feels like they have to. They can't let, you can't let Stockton beat himself. You can't let, Riley Leonard beat himself. Like these aren't guys who throw the incredible deep balls. They don't have cannons for arms. They're fine through the air, but you have to kind of let them be themselves and guide them into a win in some ways. So I think the big difference here is that the utter playmakers on the defensive side for Notre Dame is a game changer, right? Just game wreckers in some spots and just dudes on the outside that cover a secondary for Georgia that already struggles to get open and make plays. In most years, we've had, a couple options with Georgia to make plays, whether that's at the tight end position, the running back room's a little bit deeper, or they have playmakers on the outside. And I just don't think they have that this year. But you always will look at these two logos and be like, seems odd that we're biting, taking the bait again on this and biting into it. But I do like Notre Dame in this spot. And so I think Notre Dame wins it, but I'm not liking this one to be pretty at all.
Jake, I see the reaction out of you. I got to expect that we are all thinking the same here. So we're going to have Bananas pick, and it's going to...
We're all on the same page at like every pick.
That's good. We know ball. We watch the sport. Ask Buddy in the comments last week. Our boy GA's here for a reason. So let's break it down. Who's going to win? Who's going to cover? Who's going to be the difference maker? Do it for us, Jake.
Okay.
Don't change it now.
Think about it. No, I won't. I'm not going to change it. This feels like the Texas-Georgia game to me. And even though Georgia's a very, very slight favorite, it feels like Georgia is getting underestimated in this battle. And that always makes me nervous when Kirby Smart is the underdog. And that is very, very rare because he will use fuel to the fire. Underdog. Yeah, right. But that being said, I think give the edge to the quarterback. I think Notre Dame's defense is something Georgia maybe hasn't seen yet this year, just physicality wise. It's going to be a slobber knocker, man. This is going to be a low scoring, ugly game. And I hope it's a good one.
Call it the best game ever played.
Yeah, probably. But you know where we're going. You know where I'm leaning. Give me the Irish.
All right. Who's going to be the difference maker in your mind? You got to name one player.
It's basic, but it's got to be Riley Leonard, right? Just because of what he can do with his legs. If it was just some really good prolific passer, it would be one thing, but he brings so much to the table running the football. I think Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are going to have a tough day. I really do. So Leonard's going to be huge to use his legs.
All right. It's a good place to put it because I'm going to be right there with you. I think Riley Leonard is going to be the difference maker, and it's because he's going to have a big rush. I think it's going to be one specific play that he busts for over 30 yards on a touchdown run, and because he has the ability to do so, and we've seen him do it time and time again for this Notre Dame offense, which has really sparked him, and the question mark's been his arm. So you kind of make a couple of throws to get yourself into the spot to be able to do so, but extending plays for that offensive unit in Notre Dame going to be the importance. I think they're going to be able to do so. I like them to win in the spot. Also low scoring. I think it's going to be a 20-17 game. Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman gets it done against the Bulldogs, which if you would ask me this after the NIU week, I would have been like, bro, they're not even going to play. So it's fun to be able to put them in that spot. What do you think, JP?
I think Jeremiah Love is the difference maker here. Like
That's also fair.
he might struggle in some ways, but I think they're going to have to lean on him enough though. He's going to have to make a big play or two that'll make a difference here. I'm thinking like something weird. I'm going to go weird score 22-18, just weird.
I thought 13
2-point
to
conversion
6,
things change. Yeah.
13-16 was my
Yeah.
score.
Just get a little weird with it. Something's got to happen here. If we're going to play some low scoring playoff games, and it's going to be like this type where both teams are just beyond physicality, something weird's going to happen. Somebody's going to have to go for 2. Somebody's going to,
what's going to happen? It's going to be just like
40.
the first round when I thought nobody was getting to 20 and Clemson versus Texas couldn't have been more wrong there. Ohio State, Oregon's going to be like 20-17, and then Georgia, Notre Dame's going to be like
45,
30, 35-38 or something.
Hey, that would be. Would you take that? Like, would you be like that sounds fun, or would you like those flipped? Would you like to be expected?
I mean, we'll get to best bets in a minute, so probably not. But like, it would be fun to watch this be a high scoring game. Yeah.
It's college football. Expect the unexpected, except for if it's round 1 of the playoffs, I guess, for majority of people. But all right, that is all of the games. Everybody on Notre Dame against the Bulldogs, which is a fun change of events from what we probably thought at the beginning of the season.